Hi there, Serial Trader here. Let's do an update on the major US indices and starting off with the shorter term pattern here on SPX. This recent market rally that took out the previous high has forced a relabeling. So instead of having a 5 down and anticipating a 3 up to fail below that previous high, now it's a rather awkward looking WXY down. So a double zigzag. So ABC down for W, ABC up for X, and then ABC down for a Y. And now it looks like we are in the sequence of another 5-wave advance. Just looking here at this recent pullback we've had off the all-time high. So far it looks like a little ABC down, 3 waves down. So as long as that continues to be the case, as long as we can trade up from near current levels, anticipating at least one more move up in a 5th wave, and then perhaps reassess. But certainly it was fortunate to capture some of this down move and then switch long and capture a good portion of this bounce. Although I did attempt to put on a bearish position, anticipating that this high would hold. It did not, so that got stopped out. So, modest loss on that, but a good gain on the other two. So overall, still largely getting on the right side of the market here. But at this point, I'm just going to wait and watch. I'm not overly confident that this will immediately, come up to a new high, although it looks reasonable currently. And I'm also not overly confident that we're going to have a big sell-off here after so immediately coming back and wiping this all out here. So I don't really see a trade, at least from what I use. So just waiting and watching. Certainly impressive how quickly and just with how much force it came back. I mean, you couldn't even, after such a decline, you could even chop sideways a little bit. It's just basically a V-shaped recovery. So that just kind of shows you the underlying bullishness still in the market, at least for now. So that's basically what I'm seeing here on the short-term wave patterns. I'm not really going to get into the longer-term ones because it's difficult to put this in context. This certainly fit nicely as an important high, but now that it's been taken out, it's not really that clear, so I won't bother going over that. Now, let's go to the Thinkorswim candlestick chart. And SPX daily candles. A little bit of a down day there on Friday, but really nothing to speak of. Didn't even come down and touch the T line yet. Basically just sitting on the 3T line. So no alarm bells there. Getting up into the overbought condition, but certainly not turning down from that condition yet. And you can see we can get overbought and stay there for a long time. So no real alarm bells ringing there. Weekly candles here on SPX. Anything standing out? Obviously a big green weekly candle. Closed near the higher end of the range. Certainly no concerns there. Weekly T-line, essentially bounced off that area. Held a support once again. So it's pretty hard to get really bearish on this until you see some real breakdown and then a failure to recover so quickly. Okay, so that's SPX. Now if we go look at the Dow. So the Dow basically did the same thing. We came down to what looked like a fairly important move down. Broke some important support levels and even this moving average. But came right back up, made a new high just like that. In fact, gapping up, a couple times there, yet to even fill those gaps. So it's pretty hard to get bearish here with any kind of conviction. We do have a hanging man candlestick, which was at least a short-term bearish signal there on Thursday. Some downward follow through there on Friday, but again, not even touching the T-line, which would be a reasonable place to just pull back to, even in a bullish uptrend. So I'm not seeing anything here right now on the Dow that's of any concern. On the weekly, similar looking candle to SPX, fairly big green bar, a little bit of an upper shadow, but still closing near the higher end of the candle. And back above the weekly T line, so nothing there jumping out at me. Okay, clicked out of it. Go back to Thinkorswim. If we look at the composite here, NASDAQ composite, NASDAQ composite ended up being the strongest of all. It wasn't even able to make a lower low here on this little decline. The other two indices did. Didn't even come close to its 50-day simple moving average. The other two indices either just about touched or even went below it in the case of the Dow. So relative strength remains here on the NASDAQ composite. And gap up here, this bearish engulfing candlestick absolutely failed. In fact, gapped up right out of that area, didn't fill the gap. And certainly nothing concerning here about these candles. We have a doji day on Friday and just riding that 3T line for now. So NASDAQ still looking impressively strong in the face of what seemed like an important sell-off there. And what do we got here on the NASDAQ composite weekly? So never even broke below that weekly T-line. And now we're bouncing right off of it. Big green week, small upper shadow. So certainly no concerns there on the weekly candles. And if we go to the VIX, okay, so the VIX pulling back hard, but we haven't actually broken the VIX uptrend yet. To me, to truly break that, you got to get below these levels we were down at in the 11-12 range. So VIX still technically in a little bit of an uptrend, but you can see it's pulling back, and it could very easily just bleed down back to where it was before. So VIX isn't really signaling anything to me here. And if we look at the, hang on there, if we look at the VIX, VVIX tool, that sell signal produced certainly led to a decent decline, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for. I was looking for, you know, a pullback and then one more leg down at least, but it didn't happen. Sell signal certainly diminished, or extinguished now, I should say. And there's no new sell signal shaping up as of yet. Certainly no divergence between VIX and VVIX. And obviously with SPX trending up, making new highs, it's pretty hard to get bearish without any kind of signal in development yet. All right. Well, that's kind of the current state of things. Again, I'm not really seeing a trade for meeting my criteria. So as far as the overall market goes, just going to wait and watch and see if something presents itself. And see what happens this coming week. Serial Trader, signing off.